Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for choosing this video. Today I'm checking out a 2022 Audi Q5 S-Line 45 TFSI Quattro. This vehicle is sitting on 255/45 Continental tires, wrapped around 20-inch alloy wheels with a gloss black finish. It also has a high-performance braking system with ventilated brake rotors on all four wheels. The name of this color is Glacier White Metallic, and it looks like a pretty regular white color. So it does have a little bit of a metallic when the sun shines on it, but it does look really nice, especially when you add this black, this gloss black and flat black here is looking pretty sporty, especially with the wheels. You got the gloss black wheels with the alloy popping out. Really looks sharp. So here in the front, this center grille right here is a combination of like a flat black and then the gloss black accents kind of on the high-rise portions, and then down here is solid, kind of filled in. There's the Audi badge. There's also a little camera nicely integrated in here for that 360 camera system. There's also parking sensors across the front. So there's one here. Here, you can see they're integrated into that black portion, and it continues across. There's also one here on the side, integrated into the body color in the white. There's also radar adaptive cruise control sensors on either side. There's one here, and there's one on the other side. Now, I'm not sure if both of them are actually active. It's hard, I can't tell. Or one of them's a dummy to make it symmetrical. I don't know. Probably both of them. It wouldn't make any sense to have them just one on that far side. So they're probably both active sensors for the radar adaptive cruise control. Now the headlight system is really good. It has headlight washers for one thing. These little things, these little guys pop out and spray on the headlights. Now the headlights, I do have a full night video, and they're LED headlights that are auto leveling, and they're projector LEDs. And here on the front, it's all LEDs and all the lighting here in the front, turn signals, everything, daytime running lights are all LEDs. You can check out my night video for a more detailed look at them. Looking at the profile, there is most everything's body colored. So the handles, the upper portion of the side mirror is body colored, but you have this gloss black portion right in here, right in the very bottom of the vehicle, and the doors actually go all the way down, which is nice, and I'll show you why they do that in a minute. Also, the pillars are a gloss black here, and they kind of solidifies the glass, especially if you were to tint the front glass. So this glass is tinted, and so if you were to tint that, it kind of solidifies that, because this outline with a gloss black trim as well. Another gloss black portion up here as well is the roof rails. So it's basically white and black is the theme of the vehicle here. This is what the key looks like, and it's a full proximity key system. And it has the ability to just keep the key in your pocket and use the vehicle 100%. Now it does have the ability to open up the power lift gate, lock and unlock. There's also a panic button here. Let's go ahead and push that panic button. So it has like a siren sound instead of honking the horn. And then there's the back part. There's a physical key on the inside, and it's a fairly hefty key. It does feel solid and smooth on the outside, so it's easy to carry with you. So as long as you have the key with you, be in your pocket or whatever, inside of a bag, all these doors have these sensors. And basically what it is to lock the door, there's a little dimple right here that indicates where the sensor is. You just place your finger or your hand over that, it locks the doors. To unlock it, there's a sensor on the inside of the handle. As long as the key's on the outside of the door, it allows you to unlock and enter the vehicle. So I just put my hand back here, it senses my hand, it senses the key, and opens up. Now the way the handle opens is like this, it tilts up. Most handles that are shaped like this pull out. This one tilts up as if, to do that number. So it's like the kind of a different type of handle, but it looks different than what it actually operates. Now there is a physical key here on the driver's side only as well. The door goes all the way to the bottom of the vehicle. There's a seal as well to kind of seal up and keep this threshold area clean. So when you're entering and exiting the vehicle, it does not dirty your clothes, potentially. That's the intention anyway. All right, so here's the inside of the passenger side. Now these surfaces are kind of interesting. So this is like supposedly soft touch, but you can hear It's not super soft. There's like a vinyl type material here that's kind of soft. The handle is not soft, and then there's hard touch down here. Now, the thing about this vehicle is some of the surfaces, like this right here, I don't know if you can hear that. It's creaky. So as you touch things, especially the door and what you actually touch it, it has this creakiness to it. I guess the plastic rubbing together or something. You know, it feels solid enough, but that noise when you're opening and closing the door doesn't sound all that great. It doesn't sound like a high-end luxury type vehicle. It feels kind of cheapy, you know. It'll probably hold up, but it reminds me of like the old Volkswagen Beetle and stuff like that has that plastic that breaks apart and stuff over time. And so, you know, they probably need to do something with that. All right, so there's a pocket right in here. It's kind of open up in this area here for your leg, which is nice. And this is opened up so you can grab the handle and all that stuff easier. So there's no little pocket right here. That'd be nice to have. And this wood grain looks really nice right in here. Now the sill plate is kind of interesting. Usually the sill plate would be right here. This one's here on the side, so I guess it's like a threshold plate, I guess, but it is illuminated, which looks cool at nighttime. Check out my night video. Power seat here on the passenger side with 4-way lumbar adjustments. And the seat goes up and down and tilts and all that stuff. A lot of functionality there. Leather wrapped seats with the heated and ventilated as well. And also a thigh extension, this manual, so you can kind of pull it out, put it back in. But these seats really look nice, and they're pretty comfortable as well. Plenty of legroom here in the front. The floor mat snaps in place. The carpet on the floor mat is nice and tight pile. It feels really quality. It looks quality. Same thing with the carpeting here. This is a hard touch surface. You can hear it's like really hard touch. And then this opens up. It's a lockable glove compartment. Felt lined as well. There's a little compartment up there, which is pretty neat. More of that, which feels like an open pore type wood. And then this is a similar to this material. It's kind of like injection molded type non-reflective surface for the dash. So it's not like a hard touch, but it's almost like that. Entering and exiting the vehicle, lots of room here. It's easy to get in and out. The height of the seat off the ground is nice for me. I can just get right in and out. No problem, no bumping my head or anything like that. The swing of the door here in the front is excellent. Here in the back, the swing of the door probably could be slightly more, but still not really a big deal. You do have a little bit of tapering here and here, but getting in and out is not a big deal. Now, one thing I want to point out, so you'll notice, is that this threshold area, this part, you can see it's not that high to get your legs in. The back part, you can see it's significantly different. You can see there's quite a bit of a dip down to the floorboard. Now, this is great for if you have long legs to where your knees aren't sticking up in the air sitting in the back seat. But something to point out, if you have issues, you know, lifting your legs up over those type of things, which I've seen some customers have had an issue with that, and they're going to ride in the back seat, you want to make sure you can get in and out fine, and it's not going to be an issue, which a lot of vehicles are like this. It's not some weird thing. So the back door does have a shade that retracts down into the door. Now I like the way they have you have full control over the shade, so you can hook it easily. Some vehicles has the hooks on either side, so sometimes you can hook one side, not the other, but this one is just full control there. So back here you got the wood grain. It has the same type of surfaces, soft here, like a vinyl type material, and then the hard touch down here. So the back seat, it does have a little bit of bolstering there, but it's basically intended to be like a bench seat here. And the back portion can recline a little bit. Right now I just have more in a vertical position, but you can recline them a little bit. You can also fold them down to add to your cargo space. There's an armrest with cup holders here as well. Close that up, lift it up, and it locks in place. And then you can unlock it with this little lever right there. There's a center portion. These are heated seats as well here on the outer portions. The back of both front seats do have a net pocket, and it has like this hard surface there to protect it. There's climate control vents, and then there's climate control temperature adjustments, heated seat adjustments, 3-stage, and then 2 USB charge ports and a 12-volt power supply, and a significant hump there in the middle. I mean, it's huge. You got Mount Everest back here. So if you have a center passenger, that's going to be an issue for them for sure. Now there is the latch system for car seats, or ISOFIX, and it has these little plastic covers that pop off and you have to find a place for them, so something to keep in mind. The fuel door is here on the passenger side, and it's locking. So when the vehicle's locked, it's locked. You unlock the vehicle, it unlocks the door. Now it's saying that it requires premium fuel here, so you want to keep that in mind. And it has a traditional cap, tether, and it has a little post on the cap right there, so you can hang it right here while you're pumping gas. Taking a look at the back of the vehicle, so it has those roof rails there, and then it has the body colored shark fin antenna up here as well. The third brake light is in the top of the glass right here in the rear spoiler, and then it has the wiper down here. It'd be nice if it had the wiper up in there and swung down, but that's where they put it. Now the tail lights are a combination of LED and standard bulbs, so it has this really neat turn signal effect. You've got to see it at nighttime as well. And one thing I forgot to mention in the nighttime video, that it has rear fog lights, and they're right in here, and they're bright red, so they help your vehicle to be more noticed during foggy or conditions that are heavy rain or whatever. So you can turn those on. I'll show you where the switch is though. There's your reverse lights, and also it has the turn signals that have like these little swooping effect on them. When you lift the tailgate, and this is what I forgot to mention in the night video, when you lift this tailgate up, it transitions that turn signal down here, so that way, or four-way flashers basically, so that way it can be seen better. So something I forgot, just want to mention that. So the backup camera is right in here. You can see it's in with the tag, and it's a little bit offset, but it's not super noticeable. I wish it had it a little bit higher, somewhere in here, maybe integrated with the badge, something like that, and in the center would be even better. But that's where they put it. There's parking sensors across the back, and they're integrated into the body colored portions, and it also has these, you can see it has like this flat black, and then it has like these satin black pieces right in here. Now, at first glance, you might think that these are exhaust ports or exhaust tips, but they're not. They're just enclosed, and one could say that those are intended to look like it, and they're basically fake. So fake exhaust tips here on a premium brand. Okay, so let's open up the power lift gate. Now you can use the key for this, or you can push a button under here and it'll lift up. So under here, there's this over-the-shoulder light, which is pretty cool. I'll show that at nighttime. There's also a place for triangle reflectors as well that you can put in there. If you have all the seats occupied with passengers, this will be your cargo space, and it's pretty substantial. So you have a net here on both sides, the ability to lower the seats as well, here and here. There's a net there, which you can push down and get out of your way. There's also these little strip lights right here, which is pretty cool. They're not 100% perfect. You got to see them at nighttime. They do a good job, especially in conjunction with this light, but they could definitely be better, of course. And it has this cool, like real easy to little latch you can open up and kind of look in here, making it hard looking. But anyways, you can see in here, there is electronics and stuff. And there's a 12-volt power supply right in here. The left side, same deal. You can open this up. And on this side, it's interesting because it has some fuses back here, but then it has this heat sink for some kind of electric compartment, maybe the amplifier for the radio. But you notice the heat sink's right up against this insulation, so it's not going to disperse much heat when it's doing that. And also you get an idea of how much sound insulation is in this vehicle right here. It has bag holders. It only has one on each side, one right there and one right there. So when you're getting groceries and stuff, that's really nice to have. I wish I had more of them, but it does have this like elastic band right here, so you can stand up something tall in there and it'll hold it for you. So that's pretty cool. And there's also tie downs on all four corners. You can see them chrome standing out. This part lifts up, and this is just laying there. It's not latched or anything. This whole thing can just flopping around. Let me go ahead and get it out of the way, because I want to show you the spare tire. Because the spare tire that comes flat, and it has a subwoofer there in the center. And so this is a flat spare tire, and you also have a jack and tools back here. And there's also a tire inflator kit. So this will inflate the spare tire so you can put it on. Now, part of the reason for this, it has that performance braking system. So it has the rim has to be really big. So once you add the rim and you add the tire, it will take up a lot of space back here. So they have this specially designed Space Master is what it's called, spare tire, and in that way it takes up less space and it gives you the full diameter wheel that you need. Now you can fold these seats down. Now right off the bat, it's a 60/40, right? So you got this part that's going to fold down, and then you can separate the center part. So right now, if I just pull this latch, you can see it's connected. But that center part can disconnect from that part, so then it turns into a 40-40-20 basically. So you could fold down that center part separate, one side or the other, and this gives you the ability to add to your cargo space while still maintaining passenger space. Or you can fold everything down. You can take the shade out, completely take this shade out and have a really wide open space back here. Lowering the power liftgate, there's actually two buttons. This is to just lower the power liftgate, and this one is to lower it, then lock the vehicle and secure it. So that's really handy to have when you're, getting your stuff out, your groceries or whatever, and you're ready to go in the house. You hit that button and it closes it down, secures the vehicle, and you just walk away. So let's go ahead and push this one. As long as you have the key inside the vehicle, you just hold the brake, push this button, start it up. Here's the floorboard in front of the driver's seat. And once again, the floor mat snaps in place in two places there. There's the accelerator, brake pedal, very large footrest there on the left side. Let's take a look under the hood. Now you notice this latch wraps around here to the side, because when you close the door, it covers this up so you can't possibly pull the latch and release the hood while you're, driving down the road or something. To open the hood, there is a latch here in the very center. In the very center, you reach in, you move it to the left, and lift up on the hood. So you can see there's a latch right there. And the hood basically goes up by itself, so it's really easy to operate. Now you notice that it has two places that it attaches to the vehicle. So as it comes down, you want to make sure both of them are secure. And there's no insulation under the hood, which is a little bit surprising. There is a seal across the sides and the around the engine compartment, but no insulation there. So there's some heat shielding there in the back. And what's really cool about this vehicle is, to me, is that this is an all-wheel drive vehicle, but the orientation, typically vehicles like this are oriented for front-wheel drive systems, so the engine will be sideways. But this one is this way. So it's a 4-cylinder engine, turbocharged, And you can actually see it better on this side. You can see the transmission back there. Let's go ahead and take this foam. This is like a foam cover. Let's go ahead and take that off so we can see a little bit better here. The engine, the coil packs. So there's the intake here on this side. So looking for, yeah, there we go. There's the turbo here on this side. You can see the exhaust here. Now this is a 2.0 liter turbocharged engine, and it's paired to a 7-speed automatic transmission. With that all-wheel drive system and the way it's positioned, it does really make a difference as far as the way a vehicle is designed, whether it's front-wheel drive primarily or rear-wheel drive. So having this rear-wheel drive setup makes it drive really nice. Now there's some bars right here. There's a bar that connects the strut towers. There's also braces there on the sides. So it has a very solid feeling vehicle, and I can see why, because all this structural integrity here. The inside of the driver's side door is just like the other side, except for it has a few more buttons. So up here next to the power, the door locks is 2 presets for the power seat. There's also the blind spot detection system and rear cross traffic alert. The indicator is right here on the inside of the side mirror. There's power windows. All of them are one touch up and down, and they're laminated glass. The back windows, one touch up and down, and they go almost all the way down, but not quite. And there is the child safety locks, and you can choose left or right, so you don't have to lock out the entire back. And then there's the side mirrors can be adjusted. You can just pick a side and adjust it with like a little joystick there. And you can turn on the heated side mirrors. You can also turn it all the way here to power fold them in, so it'll fold them in for you. So it has a power seat, 4-way lumbar adjustment here on the driver's side as well, and it also has the manual thigh extension. To the left of the steering column, this is where there's like a fog light effect there that I mentioned in the night video. There's the button for that. You can turn that on or off. There's also the rear fog lights. You can turn that on or off here. It has a light indicating that it's on. Then the headlight switch has off, automatic, parking light, headlights. There's the dimmer switch for the interior gauges, and it also dims a lot of other things as well. And then this is for the heads-up display. You can do adjustments with that, the brightness and stuff. Steering column is a tilt and telescoping steering column that you lock in place here. Before I put the shade up, I just want to talk about the heads-up display. Now, the actual image is very clear and crisp. The information is relevant. It's not overly done. It doesn't have too much information. The only thing is it's kind of weirdly positioned. Like, it's not symmetrical, and it just looks like the information is just kind of clustered in there without any kind of reasoning to it. Just kind of like clustered together. And that's just my personal thing that I noticed. But as far as the actual information, it's very clear and easy to see. It doesn't distract you. And overall, I think it is a good heads-up display. I'm sitting in the driver's seat, and I'm 6 feet tall. And I have the seat all the way back and all the way down to give you an idea of the potential legroom here. And my legs are straight out, and I feel like a toddler because there's so much extra room here that I don't need. So I definitely have to pull the seat up. So you can see there's plenty of room here. My knees here on the side, leg room and all that stuff. So if you're over 6 feet tall, should have no problem finding a position. I'm moving the seat like 6 inches forward at least in order to get a decent position on the pedals and everything. So it has a leather wrap steering wheel, very comfortable, soft, a little bit soft there on the surface. It's grippy. It has a little bit of a different contour than what I'm accustomed to with other brands. It has a little bit of it's not like round, it's kind of oval shape, I guess, or oblong. So it has a different shape to it, which is not a problem. It just really feels a little bit different. So it has these kind of thin portions right here where the buttons are, which is looking pretty good because it, you know, gives you lots of places to put your hands. Here at the bottom has that metallic portion. So here on the right side, there's the heated steering wheel control. So you can turn it on. It'll show you here on the screen that it's on, and you turn it off there. And then there's the volume for the radio, change to the tracks or the radio station or whatever that you happen to be playing, left or right here. You can always press in on this volume. It's like a little scroll wheel, and you press in on it to mute the radio. Press it again. Basically it'll pause, like if you're playing something off of a your phone through, like say Bluetooth or whatever, you can hit that and it'll pause the audio, and then you hit it again to resume. The voice recognition is here, and then there's the phone. So this is where you can answer or hang up. So when you can answer a call, when you're finished, you push it again to hang up. There's paddle shifters on the back of the steering wheel here and here. On the left side, all these buttons here correspond with the screen, the gauges there, and I'll show you that in just a minute. There's this little stalk right here that is for the cruise control. So it's below the turn signal indicator and the headlight dimmer switch. So right down here, it has the cruise control. So you set it pushing that button, pull it in to resume, push it out to cancel, and then you can raise it and lower it to change your speeds. So you can increase speeds and lower speeds. If you press it gently, it'll go up at single miles per hour. But if you press it a little bit harder, it can go up to, you know, to the next. It lands on the next 5 mile an hour increments. Also, since this has the adaptive cruise control, you can set the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you using this right here. Just kind of set the distance. And it has a really far distance. It's really good. You can really fine tune it the way you want it. I like a far distance. Being too close to other cars is not good. Okay, so there is the windshield wiper controls. It does have an automatic rain sensing function as well. And here on the left side is the turn signal, headlight dimmer switch, but also here at the end, this is the lane keep assist button right here. You can turn that on or off. It does have automatic high beams as well. And I have a full night overview of this vehicle. You can check that out on my channel. This button right here is to reset the trip. But check out this quote-unquote gauges screen right here. This is pretty awesome. It has a lot of customization. So right now I have the map up, and in certain areas it'll actually give you a map of like an actual aerial view map, so like Google Earth or something. But usually when I drive it, it just gives me like a regular navigation looking map. But it would just happen to be an area in which it gives you that full view. And you can zoom out. You can zoom in. Let's go ahead and zoom in to the maximum. Alright, so that's the zooming in. Let's zooming out. Let's see how far we can zoom out. It actually goes all the way out to space. Like you can see the planet. Checking it out. Look at that. Isn't that funny? It's really cool. And if you just don't touch it anymore, it'll go back down to the original view that it had. But while it's doing that, you can see it shows you what gear you're in, your speedometer, the outside temperature, and your distance to empty, your range, the status of whatever your radio is doing, fuel gauges here, and you can actually change what you want on the screen quite a bit. So right now I'm just going to hit view just to kind of show you some of the details here. So when you hit view on this particular screen, which is different ones, and this is called the Audi virtual cockpit in the settings. That's what you look for when you adjust it. But you do have some customs, the view change here. So right now it's showing the RPM gauge, it's showing the speedometer, which this little speedometer line is not very useful. It's like 40 mile an hour increments, you know, and then it basically doubles, so it's like, I don't know. The digital portion is a lot better, but it kind of looks cool. But it covers up the map quite a bit when you use this view. So now I'm going to use the left and right arrow, and when I go to the right, you can see that there's these little choices here. I was in the navigation map. So this is like the drive computer, so it's showing you the fuel economy and stuff, and the timer, which you can reset. This actually has multiple things here. It has that, scroll down, energy consumers, so what's happening with the air conditioning. See what's consuming fuel in total. Scroll down again, your driver assist screen, traffic signs, which will actually show signs as you're driving. Now, one of the things about this vehicle is when you scroll down, it doesn't scroll. If I'm trying to continue to go down, it doesn't start over. It doesn't continue scrolling continuously, go back to the beginning. You have to go the other direction. So if it's a long menu screen, then it takes longer to get back up to the top, So little things like that is just slightly different than other vehicles. All right, so scrolling to the right again, so this will be whatever your Bluetooth is connected to and what it's doing, like if you're playing music or whatever here. Then your telephone portion here, so like if somebody calls you, it'll show the caller ID, that kind of thing. And then there's the navigation map. So let's go over here to the settings on this screen. We're kind of skipping ahead, but I need to show you the Audi virtual cockpit. And there's different views here, and they're a little bit customizable. So right now, we're in the dynamic one. Let's go to the classic. So I'm gonna move the camera over here. I'm gonna hit the classic and confirm it. So now you can see it gives us more classic dials here. So I'm gonna change the view, and what it does is just expands those up. So now we have traditional looking dials with needles and all that stuff. We still have a digital speedometer. We have a more useful kind of analog style looking speedometer, but we still have that information there. In that center part right there, we saw before, it's just kind of free floating up there. Now, just it encompasses within that dial. All right, so the next one is S Performance. So I'll go ahead and hit that. All right, and that's what that looks like. Change the view. So now it looks like this. So you still have your navigation, it's just way over here. The center part is to the left, and then we have this, the tachometer, kind of retro style, the way it's kind of curved like that or bent, and then a digital speedometer, and it just kind of like gives it a more performance look, I guess, and more tailored to the RPMs and stuff. And then, so let's go to the view. So it expands up, goes back like that when you hit the view button. And then the original one was dynamic. That's what we had originally. And there's the two views for that. Now, just below these, it says configure. So when you hit configure, you can choose what you want in the little boxes. So we had fuel level, and that's what's in that little box right there, fuel level. So we can change that to no display, consumption display, like what your air conditioning or whatever you're using for fuel, average speed, driving time, distance driven, or date. So let's just go to let's make no display. So we'll go and I'll just hit no display, and it goes away. So now we don't know how much fuel we have. Average speed can be shown there, driving time, distance, date, all these different things can be chosen. Now, the fuel level, to me, is the most reasonable one because it's good to know how much fuel you have. All right, so the classic, we go to configure, and it's the same deal. Basically, you choose what you want right here. So we can have nothing, or we can have all those different things. I choose the fuel. So that's how you configure each screen. And you can adjust the heads-up display within here as well. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool system right here. Especially having that top-down view of the map. It just kind of adds a really cool effect, and looks very like a futuristic type vehicle. when you have that kind of display there. I mean, this is actually more impressive really than that one. Alright, so let's go ahead and move to this one. So we have these little icons here to the left. There's the home button. And to change the settings for that, I went into actual settings. The vehicle is a little bit different. So you have radio, media, phone, the navigation. Let's look at the navigation map here. So yeah, we're getting that top-down view here as well. And since this is a touchscreen, we can pinch zoom and all that stuff. Alright, your phone apps, so this would be Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. The vehicle information, this would be like you set up different things about the vehicle, like different things that you, specific about the vehicle that you want to change. And this is good to do when you first get the vehicle. You want to set it up the way you want it. So the drive select here, you can set up an individual drive select. So you're like your drive mode basically. So you have off-road, comfort, automatic, dynamic, and then individual. And when you go to individual, you can adjust the steering pressure, basically how much effort it takes to steer, and the drive, which in this case just has balance or sport. Your parking aids, you can turn those. Those are the settings for that. Let's get out of this. All right, so you have favorites in here, so you can set that up. And then there's the actual settings for everything else. Over here, it's just like a cell phone where it has these different icons, and then you can go into each one and the one that you want. These are kind of like widgets in a way, where you have different tiles, larger tiles. So this is radio here, and that's separate from media, which is here, which is separate from your phone, which is here, and then there's the navigation. So it's fairly straightforward. You can pull down from the top to get some more icons. Now, one thing that I would like to see is that this has a really good camera system, and there's no way that I've found, there's no physical button anywhere to turn it on. The only time that you have the option to turn it on is when the parking sensor sees something and it starts beeping at you, then it'll pop up here, or when you put it in reverse. But I'll show you the camera in a minute, because we're going to get to the shifter and all that. Four-way flashers, you're here. Climate control is here. It's a dual zone driver and passenger. Now, it shows the temperatures here and here. You can sync them as well, which I have them synced. Where you want the air to blow. And these are like touch sensitive buttons here. So you could just like rest your hand on it and it kind of pops up. You don't actually have to like push it. You do to activate it, to actually move stuff. But to get more information, they're touch sensitive. And heated and cooled seats are here, and it's a 3-stage for the driver and passenger. And down here, this is how you turn off the start-stop feature. Here's the drive select. So this is where you go up or down and choose the different drive mode here. Now, it has two different buttons. This is to go up, this is to go down. So instead of going up and down like this, a single lever that you go up and down, you go up here and down here. This is traction control. Default is on. You can turn it off here in case you need to spin tires. So this is a park control. This initiates the parking aid. So when you push that, basically what it does is it starts scanning for a parking spot. So there's parallel and perpendicular parking spaces. So you could choose the one that you want. And if you put your turn signal onto the left, it'll start looking for them on the left side instead. default will be the right side, which is more common. And then once it finds a parking spot or a place to park, a place that your vehicle will fit, then it'll kind of initiate a parking sequence in which it'll tell you how to brake and all that stuff, but it'll actually turn the steering wheel and help you park, which is kind of interesting. It's not something I would personally use, but you know, some people might like that. So if you want to pull up the parking, the actual camera system, there's a button right here. And so if I'm going into a parking spot, or if I'm getting close to something, I could press that button and it pops up the front view, whatever my default view for the front view is, and I can see what's in front of me and also see the top view as well. But you notice that things look a little weird here compared to there. So let me pull forward a little bit so you can see this is actually a super wide view angle. And get close to that curb so you can see what I'm talking about. That curb is straight, but it looks, all right, so let's go ahead and turn this off, that sound. It looks curved because I have this really wide view. So it's actually giving you a view down both ways, basically that way and that way, so you can see what's going on. You can change that view to a more linear view like that. But if you get used to this view, this is really handy for especially backing out. You know, when you're backing out of a parking spot, this is a really handy view. So there's different views here, like so. See around the front wheels, the rear wheels, in the back, wide view, back linear view, top down with the parking sensors, and then just the front view, and then the front wide view. So you put it in reverse, or you push that button right there, and it'll pop up the camera system. So it's a really good camera system. It's just, you know, it has different views that you have to get used to. But they're very functional, good views, you know, like this stretched out view. It looks weird, but it's very functional. The downhill or hill descent in general, you can go up or downhill, button is here. Once this is initiated, it's intended to go super slow speeds on like loose gravel and stuff like that. And if you need to just continuously keep moving without sliding down or up, sliding back or down a hill, then you can use that feature. So there's a button right here to turn off the screen, and when you press it, it basically does this. So completely goes out after a second. But you tap the screen, it turns back on, which it reminds you that for some reason when you turn it off. So that's nice to have. Now, it's not really handy for cleaning the screen. Yeah, there's actually a setting that you can go into and turn off the screen for that, but in this particular case, it's just if you don't want to see anything on the screen distracting you or whatever, you can turn it off. So there's 12 volt power supply here, USB port, a little pocket. Now, there's the start button, which we saw. But what's interesting is this whole area right here, there's a lot of space here. And it kind of threw me off because there's a couple things in here that doesn't make any sense to me. So maybe if you own this vehicle and you use these features in a way that I'm not really thinking of, you can let me know, because when I get in the vehicle, for one thing, I'm looking for a place to set my phone down. And so this right here doesn't really work for me. This gets entangled with the shifter. And if I put it that way, then it kind of blocks that pocket. This doesn't really work. But there is a place to actually set the phone down to charge it, which is not super handy. I'll show you that in a second. But just this area right here, I'm kind of curious as to what these pockets were originally intended for. I put a pen in here because, like, hey, it looks like about the size of a pen. But once I got the pen in there, it's really hard to get out. So I'm not really sure what these pockets are intended for a person that's getting in and out of the vehicle. Maybe if you're the type of person that doesn't have the key in your pocket and you want to set the keys down, I guess that would be a good spot for that. You can put the keys in there, but not really sure. Also, there's a light in here that's pretty bright, and at nighttime it stands out from all the other lights in the vehicle, so it's very distracting, or not very distracting. It's a little bit of a distraction. It looks weird. So I'm not sure what the intention is, but it doesn't work for me anyway. There is a physical volume knob right here. For some reason it's way over there. I guess it's more for like the passenger to use than the driver, maybe, because I guess the driver can use the steering wheel. So there's that. But if you bump the knob to the right or left, you can change through the tracks and stuff. The shifter is very similar to the old shifter that the Grand Cherokee had in 2014 that everybody got mad about and got rid of. But this one is slightly different, and maybe that's the difference, that people don't mind this as much. It's where you press here on the side and you push it forward to go in reverse, pull it back to go into drive, pull it back again, and then we have sport mode. And it's a standard mode, so you can change the gear ratios. So there's a plus and minus here. You can bump it like a ratchet shifter, like so, without pushing the button, of course. And you can change through the gears. Or you could use the paddle shifters as well. There's the park button, so you push that to put it back in park. So, I mean, it's relatively easy to use. I mean, I didn't have a problem with the original shifter that was in the Grand Cherokee that everybody was mad about, but, you know, I mean, I used it hundreds of times, maybe 1,000 times, because I worked at a Jeep dealership moving cars around on the lot, and I didn't have any problem with it. It was very similar to this. But yeah, this is it's a little bit of a learning curve for the person that's not accustomed to this type of shifter, but it's very functional. Electronic parking brake here, you pull it up to engage it, and engages the rear wheels, and it has a little light there. To release it, you just hold the brake and push down on it, and it'll release. Okay, so here's the other thing that was interesting to me. It doesn't really work for me, but maybe it does for other people. There is a little cup holder here that is heated and cooled, so you can turn that feature on or off here, and then a regular cup holder on this side. And this is where you can put your phone, right there. So you can put your phone there and charge it. It's a wireless charger. And then you can pull it back like that and use your cup holders. But let's say you have a cup there, or a bottle or whatever it is in these holders, and then you have this armrest, which is kind of weird because it's a ratcheting armrest, so you have to lift it up and you just rest on the place where you want it, and it'll stay there. To reset it, you go all the way up to the top and then push it back down to reset it. And it's pretty soft, and you can unlikely you'll share it with the passenger. It's not that big, but it is a good, and I like the way it's adjustable. It's nice. When you lift it up, if you have something here, then you can't move this forward to access this compartment. So this compartment is kind of unusable when there's something in the cup holder. So the only way you can use this is if you're not using this. So that's something that was a little bit of a pain. Like if you have a cup of coffee here, not easy to move that out of the way. Then move this up, move the cup of coffee out of the way, move this forward to access something here. So kind of interesting. Rear view mirror, it has an auto dim rear view mirror, and it's actually auto dimming now. There's also a digital compass in it as well. It looks really nice, and the sensor's right back here. That's why it's auto dimming, because that shade is covering up. Above the rear view mirror, there's these tap lights, and there's a quick reading light. You just simply tap the light lens and it'll turn it on. Tap it again, it turns off, which is pretty cool. So right here, if you want to turn on the interior lights, the button for that is right here. So you could turn on the interior lights. Turn them on with the door is that one. And then this is for like roadside assistance and emergency buttons right here. These are like little microphones for the Bluetooth system, so you can send and receive calls. The visors have a vinyl covering, unlike the headliner, which is a cloth. And there's mirrors with lights. And it's nice soft light. It's bright, but I mean it's kind of distributed across that bar, which is good. It also can extend out as well. Same thing on the other side. Time to check out this awesome sunroof. So the controls for the sunroof is here in the center. This one is for the shade. This one is for the actual roof itself, the sunroof. So the shade doesn't cover 100% of the light, which is nice. But man, is it huge. I mean, look at that. It like it's the entire roof basically. So let's go ahead and move this back. And as a slow, smooth travel back there. And with the sunroof this big, it's probably good to make it go faster. If they would make it a little bit faster, it'd be nice. All right, so now let's go ahead and vent up. The back portion is fixed, the front portion moves. It doesn't vent a huge amount. So let's move it back. Pull it back again. Goes a little bit further back. Okay, so that's the widest opening, which is huge. Massive sunroof back here. And you can move that forward and the shade come forward at the same time. Looking at the visibility, there's some pretty good sized pillars back there, but they're not really causing a problem. There's lots of windows back here. There's a window between that back pillar and the let's see, A, B, C, D pillar. So C and D pillars has a little window in there that helps out a lot. Haven't had any problem with visibility. I mean, of course, you have a lot of technology like blind spot detection system, rear cross traffic alert, parking sensors, camera system, all that stuff to help you out as well. So yeah, camera system is really good. Really helps out with pretty much everything. Parking, backing out of a parking spot, pulling forward into a parking spot. So it has really a lot of uses. I really like it. Go ahead and pull the navigation up here as well. It looks kind of cool. Having navigation on both screens, especially with that aerial view that it's showing right now. We'll see how long that lasts. I really enjoy driving this vehicle as far as the acceleration, the braking. It has some performance levels that are surprising, and I actually like this vehicle driving it more than I thought I was going to. So it's one of those type of vehicles that as you're driving, when you bear down on the accelerator, you really have a lot more power than what you really think you have. You could drive easy and just kind of drive normal, and then when you really need that extra power, it's right there. You just got to get the RPMs up, but it really you're able to accelerate pretty quick. It's fun. And also has that rear wheel bias as well, since the engine is turned this way, so you're not getting any torque steer or anything like that, or at least I haven't experienced any. Transmission shifts nicely too. it is definitely fun to drive. The cruise control little stalk down here is kind of, I get it. I'm still not used to it. I've driven this vehicle for a week and I keep going for the turn signal indicator, but I think you could definitely get used to it. And it works quite well. You get a really good distance. I mean, the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you can go way out there, much further than most other vehicles. I'll put it on the furthest distance right now. But yeah, it's quiet. And this is a smooth road, but there's a little bit of wind noise. I mean, the camera's probably going to make any kind of noise sound louder than what it is, but these cars going by, I can barely hear them. And the wind noise isn't really a big deal. Like, none of this is, there's no problems really. It's got a nice, smooth, comfortable ride, comfortable seats for the most part. And they're not the most comfortable seats or anything, but it's not like luxury level comfortable seats, but they're decent. Now the lane keep assist system, you can turn on or off here, and it doesn't like follow the lines. It's gonna just let you know that you go over the line. It's not really gonna it's not like you can let go of the wheel and you see it moving in any significant way. It just kind of bounces you back between the lanes, but it's still functional. Braking system is impressive. I'm not sure if those are actually Brembo brakes up there, but they're high-end, high-performance brakes in the front for sure. The rear ones are basically the same, which doesn't really matter that much with the rear as much, because most of the braking is done in the front brakes, because most of the weight is behind the front brakes. Not much weight behind the rear brakes. But yeah, when I first got this vehicle, I think some of the things that were quite a bit different from what I'm accustomed to just kind of threw me off and made me be a little bit not as excited at first. But then once I started driving it, once I started looking at it, and it made me appreciate it to a new level. So there you have it. Thank you for watching, and let me know what you think about some of these things in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.